It's time for America Outdoors Radio. The fast-paced hour of outdoors radio ahead is not only awesome, but unlike those other shows, you can actually sleep in for this one. Better still, we've got a special Pacific Northwest edition for you, sponsored by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. You won't find this version of America Outdoors Radio anywhere else. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio. Brought to you by Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
We've got another great Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors for you this week. We're going to check in with Tom Burlingame with XL Charters at the bottom of the hour. He's going to give us the opening week fishing report out of Marine Area 5 off of CQ, and I'll give you a preview. It's been good. At the end of the show, we're going to be joined by Chad Calder. He is the owner of Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing, and he's going to tempt you to come up to Port Hardy at the north end of Vancouver Island this summer, where you'll get to fish for not one, not two, but for 3 or 4 different types of good eating fish every day. But first, let's take a look at what's hot here in the Pacific Northwest. From NorthwestFishingReports.com, we learned there are some anglers having success with steelhead this year. Looking at recent posts, we find one angler had a great day on the Queets River in Jefferson County, which includes the catch and release of a 20-pound native steelhead. Congrats. Another angler has been doing well on the Satsup. He's been fishing it every week in February and has gotten at least 1 hookup per outing. His recommendation, look for the fish to be holding in the faster water. In Central Washington, kokanee fishing has been red hot on Lake Chelan. That's the word from Daryl and Dad's Family Guide Service, who has been posting photos of lots of caught kokanee on a daily basis on their Facebook page. According to owner Anton Jones, the way they've been getting them is by trolling max 7.6 Dodgers with short leaders to mini cha-cha squidders baited with corn soaked in Pro-Cure bloody tuna scent at about 1 mile per hour. Use your electronics to find these fish in the lower basin. And in eastern Washington, guide Austin Mosier and his clients are continuing to catch some really big rainbow trout and kokanee, to include a 23-inch kokanee they reeled in last week out of Lake Roosevelt. There is a lot of talk a new state record is going to come out of this lake this winter, and Austin is not the only person having success here. Lots of other anglers are too. Razor clamming is going to be hot this week at several Southwest Washington beaches. You can dig up your limit of 15 tasty clams today. The low tide is at 5:58 p.m., and you can dig on Copalis, Mock Rocks, and Twin Harbors. On Sunday, the high tide is 6:34 p.m. and the same beaches are open. On Monday and Tuesday, only Twin Harbors are open, but still some opportunities. And finally, grab your dip net because there's a 1-day smelt fishery on the Cowlitz today only. You can fish from shore from 8 a.m. to 1 p.m. It's open from the Highway 432 bridge to the A.L. Hellenberg boat ramp. The limit, 10 pounds, which is about a quarter of a 5-gallon bucket. Go get them. This will probably be the only chance you get for smelt this season. As for what's not so hot, creel checkers reported very little effort and very little success by anglers in Puget Sound around Point Defiance and the Tacoma Narrows for salmon last weekend. Also less than hot is the announcement that the Washington Department of Fish and Wildlife is decreasing the rockfish limit from 10 fish to 7 fish in marine areas 1 and 2. This is because anglers who weren't able to go after salmon last year turned their attention to groundfish, and the Department of Fish and Wildlife wants to make sure they don't become overharvested. And finally, if you want to hunt a bear this spring in Washington, you better fill out that application in a hurry because they are due on the 28th of this month. So there you go. That's what's hot and what's not here in the Pacific Northwest.
And with that, let's head to this week's national edition of America Outdoors Radio.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Looking for a way to get the message out about your business to hunters and anglers throughout the Seattle and Everett area? Then consider advertising with America Outdoors Radio on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO. To find out more, contact John Cruz through his website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com.
It's time for America Outdoors Radio, the show that covers the outdoor scene across the U.S. of A. and the entire continent. Fishing, hunting, conservation, outdoor recreation, and great destinations. We cover it all every week. It's your country, your outdoors. Let's explore it together with your host, John Cruz.
We've got a great show on tap for you this week, and if there was a theme for it, I'd probably be singing "Oh Canada." That's because we are featuring not one, not two, but three different destinations in different Canadian provinces where you can fish or hunt. Our first stop is Joe's Salmon Lodge, a well-known fishing resort located along the central coast of British Columbia. Doug Stufko will tell you about the great salmon fishing you'll find there. And another place you'll hear about this week is located in the Yukon Territory at Wellesley Lake. That's where you'll find the Kluane Wilderness Lodge, offering catch and release fishing for huge lake trout, northern pike, and a more unique species, lake whitefish. If you're into big game hunting and want a real wall hanger, you'll want to hear our conversation with Joe Hardesty. He owns Pine Mountain Outfitters out of Saskatchewan, and they specialized in guaranteed trophy bull elk hunts. We've got some outdoors news from both Canada and the U.S., and heading back into the United States, we'll tell you about an increasingly popular Northwest offering for salmon being manufactured by Greg Wilson at Brad's Killer Fishing Gear, and also about the new kokanee plug he's got coming out in March. In other news, Sportsman Show season rolls on throughout the nation. The biggest ones have already occurred in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, Portland, Oregon, Sacramento, California, Denver, and Salt Lake City, but there are a bunch of shows still going on through early April. Have you ever wondered why all the Sportsman Shows take place in the winter and early spring? Well, it's simple. This is the slow time of year for guides, outfitters, and lodges, and this is when these exhibitors hit the show circuit to attract you to their places of business, whether they be in the continental United States, Canada, Mexico, Alaska, South Africa, New Zealand, or other places where great fishing and hunting adventures are waiting for you. This slow season theory also holds true for RV and boat dealers. It's easy to build up excitement about buying a travel trailer or a bass boat when the sun is shining and the fish are biting, but it's a little tougher to draw folks to your dealership when there's a foot of snow on the ground or if it's raining cats and dogs outside. That's why sportsman shows are great locations for multiple dealers to congregate, many of them indoors, so you can see acres of both RVs and boats, and better still, take advantage of some of the screaming show specials these dealers offer this time of year. Finally, let's not forget the retailers. When it comes to these shows, you know you'll want to bring some money with you. That's because there are usually sporting goods retailers set up inside, and let's face it, the first quarter of the year is not exactly the hottest time to move fishing, hunting, and shooting related products. That is, unless you're at a sportsman show and you're offering some awesome deals on things like fishing rods, tackle, ammo, clothing, and more. Then, suddenly, the cash flow gets going for these businesses. Put it all together, and it's a win-win proposition for both you as the attendee and for the businesses exhibiting at these shows. So, if you haven't been to a show yet this year, get out there and attend one. Here's a few coming up in your listening area. This weekend, the Wenatchee Valley Sportsman Show is taking place in Central Washington at the Town Toyota Center, February 24th to the 26th. Be sure to stop by our booth for a chance to win a camp stove from Camp Chef and a gift certificate from Max Lure Company. This same weekend, the Great Rocky Show is taking place at the Lewis and Clark County Fairgrounds in Helena. And next week, March 3rd through the 5th, the NorCal Boat Sport and RV Show will be taking place at the Shasta County Fairgrounds in Anderson, California. And let's not forget the Bighorn Show in Spokane at the Interstate Fairgrounds from March 16th through the 19th. And finally, the Great Alaska Sportsman Show in Anchorage taking place March 30th through April 2nd. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, there's another sportsman show coming up in the Pacific Northwest. It's the Central Oregon Sportsman Show. It's taking place March 2nd through the 5th at Redmond, Oregon, the Deschutes County Fairgrounds. With us here to tell you more about it is Joe Brennan with O'Loughlin Trade Shows. Joe, great to have you on the show.
Oh, good morning, John. It's good to hear from you as well.
Haven't been to the show for a few years, but I've always enjoyed it. It's really spread out among the fairgrounds, and there's really a lot to see, isn't there?
Well, John, this is the 18th annual show. This particular show, like you mentioned, is spread out through the Deschutes County Fairgrounds. We use 3 buildings. The main Bank of the Cascade Centers, and then we fill the outside space in between the buildings with a lot of RVs and other exhibitors that need to be outside, like trailer companies and ATV companies.
And folks, when Joe says a lot, that actually is a bit of an understatement. As you go through the gates, you are going to see acres and acres of RVs and trailers and ATV dealers. If you are looking to buy one of those, this is definitely the show you want to go to. How many dealers, give or take, do you have out there in terms of the trailers and RVs and all that?
John, there's a half a dozen. They're all local dealers from the Bend-Redmond area, and they bring in a lot of units. So we call this show actually the boat and RV show as well as a sportsman show.
Speaking of boats, you actually have a surprising number of those there as well.
Yes, we do. We have probably 7 or 8 local dealers from the Madras, Bend, Prineville, Redmond area as well that come in and set up a beautiful displays for their boats, bring in all new boats.
So after you wander through those buildings and through the acres of RVs, you're going to get to the main building, as it were, and there's 2 levels that you go through there to see all the vendors and exhibitors. Why don't you tell us about those? Obviously, there's a lot from Central Oregon, but we're not just talking Central Oregon guides and outfitters, are we?
No, that's called the Bank of the Cascade Center, John, and it is a 2-level arena. And we have a couple of retailers. We have Bimart, Sportsman's Warehouse, and then they're surrounded by some manufacturers in the hunting and fishing industry and plenty of guides and outfitters from Oregon, Washington, British Columbia, Alberta, Alaska, as well as some international like New Zealand and Africa outfitters as well.
One thing I like about this show is, it's east of the Cascades, but it draws a lot of people that just feel it's too difficult to get to that big Pacific Northwest show that you just had in Portland. So you're getting folks from the Tri-Cities in Washington, you're drawing folks from Prineville, from Redmond, from Bend, from Klamath Falls, and all throughout eastern Oregon, aren't you?
No, absolutely. We get quite a few people from the areas you just mentioned, especially the smaller communities from eastern Oregon. The folks come out and really support the show year after year.
One thing that O'Loughlin shows are known for is their seminars. Who do you have on tap for the Central Oregon show?
Let's start with the fishing side. John Garrison, local guide, and it's been over there for several years. I have 2 local fly shops that are going to be some of their presenters as well. Ed Iman, Steve Leonard, kind of highlight the fishing on the side of that show. In the hunting, we're bringing in Jim Burnworth. He's a new speaker of our shows this year. His specialty is archery. We'll be talking about archery hunting. I have Scott Haugen that'll be doing, again, some of his speaking on different hunting topics. Dan Clore. And then another one is a local guy by the name of Blake Miller. He'll be doing some electronic seminars on GPS and outdoor survival.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm very familiar with a lot of those names that you just threw out there. Blake Miller is a great guy who really knows his stuff when it comes to outdoor survival. Ed Iman, one of the best-known walleye guides in the Northwest. Steve Leonard is a really good stick on the Columbia River. Jim Burnworth and Scott Haugen, you've probably seen on TV. They both have a great presence there. So some really good speakers you've got this year.
I forgot to mention 2 speakers. One is Gary Lewis, the outdoor writer from Bend, Oregon, and then the second one would be a guy named Gary Madison. He's a predator speaker, the great speaker as well.
Last but not least, what sort of attractions are going to draw folks to the Central Oregon show?
The features, again, we have our main headline feature will be presented by Les Schwab is the Cowboy Fast Draw. We brought that over there last year. This will be its 2nd year back. And then we also have, once again, our hunting and fishing theaters, our free kids trout pond. That's the hallmark feature of our shows. Kids come in, and a lot of them would catch a fish for the very first time. Our camp cooking seminars, always a highlight of the shows. Then we have our freshwater demo tank presented by Bimart. That's always a great feature as well.
All right. Well, all sorts of reasons to visit the Central Oregon Sportsman Show. Again, it's taking place in Redmond, Oregon, March 2nd through the 5th at the Deschutes County Fairgrounds. You can find out more about it and maybe even find some discount coupons by going to otshows.com. That's otshows.com. Joe, thanks for sharing this with us on America Outdoors Radio.
You're welcome, John, and I hope to see everyone at the show.
KKM Precision is a world leader in custom national match grade pistol barrels. We specialize in advancing pistol barrel accuracy through superior manufacturing techniques so every shooter knows they have the absolute best. With over 20 years of producing pistol barrels for competitive shooters, our barrels have won nearly every major competition worldwide, from the NRA national matches to the Bianchi Cup and even the IPSC and IDPA World Championships. KKM Precision makes only top-tier pistol barrels for shooters, gunsmiths, and manufacturers.
DM Bullard Leather has been in business for over 20 years. We use Herman oak leather to make concealed and open carry gun holsters, as well as knife sheaths, belts, cowboy gear, and wallets. All of our products are handmade, and we even offer exotic skins if you're looking for something really special. Check out our products in 16 different gun shops, or go to our website at dmbullardleather.com. That's dmbullardleather.com for the best leather you'll ever have.
Low-limit saltwater salmon fishing got you down? Don't be sad. Head to the mighty Columbia River and get into the great steelhead and salmon fishing going on this year. Mike Salazar with Salt to Summit Guide Service is the man to go fish with. He's got over 25 years experience and knows how to catch a limit of fish. In fact, he's so confident in your success, he'll guarantee a fish. Book your Columbia River trip now at salttosummit.com. That's salt, then the number 2, then summit.com.
Clippership RV Motorhome Rentals offers you the opportunity to explore Alaska in the comfort of a motorhome. Unpack once and make your own trip off the beaten path. Clippership offers different sizes from 19 to 36-foot long motorhomes in Class A, B, and C models. Don't worry about bringing along extras with you. The utensils, linens, and unlimited mileage are all included in the price, and we guarantee you the best rates in Alaska. Find out more at clippershiprv.com. That's clippershiprv.com.
Did you check out this month's edition of Northwest Sportsman Magazine? If you didn't, you're missing out, because it's the best publication out there that covers the fishing and hunting scene, not only in Washington State, but in the entire Northwest. Northwest Sportsman Magazine has got great writers and great content you need to have to be successful. Northwest Sportsman Magazine is the publication for you. Find out more at nwsportsmanmag.com or pick up a copy at a newsstand near you.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Looking for the safest, most stable riding boat on the market? Welcome to Stabicraft. Born in New Zealand, Stabicraft has a built-in reputation for making the most seaworthy boats on the market. Heavy gauge aluminum chambered boats with models ranging from 14 to 29 feet in a variety of configurations to suit all your needs. Check out the all-new 2750 center cab, a walk-around design for the Northwest market and packed with industry-leading features to suit all types of fishing, allowing you to adventure with confidence. Book a test ride today at stabicraft.com.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business. You're back with America Outdoors Radio. It's our O Canada edition, where we're checking out great places to fish and hunt in Canada. And this portion of the show is brought to you by Northwest Sportsman Magazine. It's the monthly magazine that covers the fishing and hunting scene throughout the greater Northwest, to include British Columbia. Speaking of which, that's where we're going right now, to a very well-known saltwater fishing lodge on the central BC coast. It's called Joe's Salmon Lodge. With us here to tell you more about it is the owner, Doug Stufko. Doug, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it.
So, Doug, tell us the story about Joe's Salmon Lodge and how you got to be in the position you're in, because you literally climbed your way to the top.
Well, it all started back in 1987. I started at Joe's as a dock boy and fell in love with it, worked my way up to fish master, then became manager, and eventually in 2000, I had an opportunity to buy out the original owner, partial shares, into the company, and that was in 2000, and now here I am, co-owner with a real good guy named Carl Rosenow, a longtime customer, and no, life is good.
So let's talk about the lodge itself. Is this a floating lodge, and exactly where is it located on the coast?
Yeah, floating lodge located in Hackeye Pass, which is 350 miles north of Vancouver, located just below Bella Bella in the Central Coast, BC.
Now, Hackeye Pass, I have heard of this place before because this is kind of the funnel for all those kings and coho to come through, isn't it?
Yeah. Actually, we're really well known for the Central Coast, Northern Coho fishery. Amazing. They get up to 22 pounds. More so later in August into September. But our Chinook fishing or king fishing is second to none. June, July, August is prime time for the king Chinook salmon, and very close to the lodge.
Well, that's nice to hear. And I understand that when it comes to the kings, there's a 2-fish limit per day. When it comes to the coho, there's a 2-fish limit per day. And you can take home a total of 4 each. Is that right?
That is correct.
And how big do the kings get? You mentioned the cohos get up to 22, which is huge for a coho. But how big do those kings get in your neck of the woods?
Honestly, people ask me that all the time, and I basically say that 15 pounds to 50 pounds, and our largest Joe Salmon Lodge record is 72. But of course, that's a one-out fish. But 15 pounds to 50 pounds is realistic.
Well, that's fine by me. That's a lot of fish to take home. Let's talk about how you're getting them. Is this a guided operation or an unguided operation, or can you mix it up and do both?
Actually, because our location is so well protected, if the wind does kick up and we're on the outer waters, we can always move back in to where it's calm. But the main thing is that we're always going to be fishing where their fish are. So it doesn't matter if it blows southeast, low pressure, or northwest, high pressure. We can always get somewhere where basically what I tell the customers is you can put, your coffee on the top of your console and it's not going to fall off. So, that's something, why our area is so well known and liked, because we never get blown off.
And that sounds like it makes it really easy for unguided fishermen to have success. For those that are a little intimidated, though, do you offer a guided option, at least maybe for a day, so they can kind of get their sea legs under them and figure out what to do?
Absolutely. Although we do have 2 fish masters that as soon as you get to the lodge, give you a full-on instructional on how to fish. And how we fish is just simply cut plug herring with an 8-ounce weight power mooching, which is just in and out of gear. And in order to do this, this is what separates us from like the Charlottes, where the waters, tides are ripping all the time. We're fishing basically the back eddies of the ocean. So we tuck around a corner and where the bait is getting pushed into the bay, the big fish are being pushed in, plus they're resting. So it gives us the opportunity to just fish in calm waters. But that being said, fish masters are there. They instruct you. They lead you out there. Fish around you at all times, and they're there if you need it. But for those who are quite novice, we do have a couple guides available and highly recommended as well.
I love that old school motor mooching. When I was a kid growing up in Puget Sound, we used to do that, and it kind of fell by the wayside. So it's nice to see that A, it's still being done, and B, that it still works. Let's talk about the boats and the gear that you're using.
Well, our boats, 17-foot Montauk whalers. Actually, this year, right now, they're all being re-and-reed. They're going to be like brand new, all new custom consoles, fit boxes to radios, depth sounders, all brand new, GPS, of course. And they are the ultimate fishing boat for our area. If you're up, farther north or in bigger waters, the aluminum boat is the way to go with higher gunnels. But because we're fishing in such calm waters, the low gunnel, 17-foot Boston whalers are just second to none. You can't get a better boat.
And what kind of motors are you operating off those boats?
I'm tossed. Myself and my partner are tossed between the Mercury product and the Yamaha. So right now we're running both, and we just we appreciate both engines, so we run both.
That's more than fair. All right, so we've got an idea of how the fishing's going here. One other question on the fishing. It's Joe's Salmon Lodge, obviously, so everyone's thinking salmon, but do you have options for bottom fish and halibut too?
Oh, absolutely. Our packages are 4 and 5 day trips, so there's plenty of opportunity. And what we do is 2 fish masters, once again, collectively in the evening, while my guests are eating, myself and my 2 fish masters get together, and we look at the weather conditions and tides for the next morning, and then we get a game plan for the next morning up in the lounge at night with the customers. And one fish master always goes out for the bottom fish and halibut first thing. And another one is what I call, he goes on a safari and goes out just strictly for the salmon. So it's kind of like customer's choice, what we recommend, and collectively we get a game plan.
Well, I like it, especially if you're on like a 5-day trip and you get your salmon in the first couple days. You got plenty of time to get your bottom fish for the next couple days after that. One last thing we need to talk about here, the food and the accommodations.
The food is awesome. I am a chef in my own mind. Food is a passion to me, so I'm in that kitchen and making sure that, I want to say it's testosterone-approved food. Not that, there's no women that come to my lodge, but it definitely is like hand-carved prime rib, barbecue ribeye steak, seafood pasta. It's all the best of those.
Oh, you are speaking to me right now. That sounds fantastic. Last but not least, where are you going to lay your head at night? Are these kind of like little cabins or duplex cabins? Tell me about them.
Our accommodations are very simple. There's 2 single beds in each room. We can accommodate 3 in a room. We have rooms that have bunk beds as well. There's a bathroom in each room, and then there's showers off to the side. But very clean, very comfortable. And, with my customers, most of them are diehard fishermen. They go fishing from dawn till dusk. And, sleeping is not a problem at my place.
I understand. Well, I'll tell you what, Doug, Joe's Salmon Lodge sounds like a great saltwater fishing vacation to me. Folks, if you want to find out more about booking a trip for this summer, go to their website. It's joessalmonlodge.com. That's joessalmonlodge.com, offering quality salmon and halibut and rockfish fishing off the central Canadian coast in British Columbia. Doug, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Offshore Northwest is Washington's most exciting albacore tuna fishing charter, offering one-day run-and-gun live bait tuna fishing trips from Westport, Washington. You'll leave at first light, run an hour and a half out to the tuna grounds, and catch these fish till your arms fall off. They'll have you back to port by 5 p.m. on their 30-foot Parker boat. The tuna are coming, and this summer is looking strong, so book now by calling Captain Carey at 253-380-9973. That's 253-380-9973.
Backcountry Hunters and Anglers, a nationwide group working to keep public lands in public hands so future generations can enjoy what we enjoy. Join the group that makes a difference. Check us out at backcountryhunters.org.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Next on the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, we're checking in with Tom Burlingame. He is the owner of XL Fishing Charters, and he's been fishing off of CQ in Area 5, which is now open for blackmouth. Tom, give us the first week report. How's it been?
Fishing has been very, very good, John. We've done done well this week.
So it's a 2 hatchery blackmouth limit. And I'm guessing you're catching some wild fish too that you're releasing. About how many fish a day are your clients catching?
We've been getting limits have been the norm this week. We've fished 3 days and been 1 fish short in the 3 days for full limits.
Nice. Any big fish?
There's been a few pretty nice ones. Most of the bigger ones have had fins on them that we've had to release, but we've had fish up to 10 pounds, so some decent fish.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Anything else you want to add for the fishing report this week?
The only thing I would say is that the weather's been great. Let's hope it continues that way.
Oh, absolutely. Because, what is it? The Ides of March? You always have to worry about the winds as well. So let's hope that it stays good. Do you have some openings this coming month?
We sure do, especially during the week and a few weekend dates as well.
All right. Well, the place to go to, folks, to go ahead and book a trip with XL Charters is their website. It's xlfishingcharters.com. That's spelled EXCEL, fishingcharters.com. That's xlfishingcharters.com for a 2 salmon limit, hatchery salmon, off of CQ. Well worth the trip. Tom, thanks for checking in with us.
Thank you very much, John.
There's a whole bunch more of the great outdoors coming your way on Fox Sports 1380.
Marine Area 5 near CQ is open for a special Chinook salmon fishery from February 16th to April 30th, and XL Fishing Charters is ready to take you out for a great day on the water. One of the great things about this fishery is the fact that you get to take home not 1, but 2 blackmouth a day, and Captain Tom Burlingame has the knowledge and experience to help you get that done.
Fish on!
Need a place to stay? XL Fishing Charters can help you with that too, because they also operate the Inn at Nia Bay. Find out more about fishing with XL Fishing Charters at xlfishingcharters.com. That's EXCEL fishingcharters.com. Book your trip now.
Are you an outfitter, sporting goods retailer, boat dealer, or someone else in the outdoors industry? If you are, you know targeted advertising works best, and what would work better than advertising with America Outdoors Radio? Our hour-long show is heard throughout Seattle, Everett, and the East Side every Saturday morning, and your message will be heard there too. Better still, our rates are way more affordable than you think. Want to find out more? Contact me, John Cruz, through my website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. That's America Outdoors Radio, bringing you more business. You're back with America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. In our last segment, we took you salmon fishing off the coast in British Columbia. During this segment, we're taking you to 2 more destinations in Canada. One of them, a great fishing lodge in the Yukon Territory, and the other, a hunting ranch in Saskatchewan. Let's head to the Yukon right now. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, we're taking you to the Yukon Territory. As a matter of fact, the location is the Kluane Wilderness Lodge. It's a great fishing destination, and with us here to tell you more about it is the owner, Brian Dack. Brian, welcome to the show.
Hello. Yeah, it's been a great show so far, and like he said, we're 200 miles northwest of Whitehorse by float plane. That's the nearest road or neighbor is 100 miles away, and we're fishing for lake trout, northern pike, and lake whitefish. Last year we had 4 lake trout over 50. Pike to 50 inches on a fly, and it's all catch and release and unguided fishing.
Sounds fantastic. So let's talk about getting there. I assume that you're going to fly into Whitehorse first. What happens after that?
So you'd fly from here to Vancouver to Whitehorse, overnight stay in Whitehorse, and then we pick you up first thing in the morning and fly in, and it's 7 days, 7 nights. Everything's supplied from Whitehorse on.
That sounds fantastic. And folks, if you hear some background noise, we're broadcasting from the floor of the Washington Sportsman Show in Puyallup. And that's where Brian has been selling some packages. Are you going to be at some of the other shows too?
I will be down in Portland and in Long Beach, which is quite a ways away from here, but I'll be in Portland in 2 weeks for their big show down there as well.
All right, so for you Oregon listeners and you California listeners, you want to pay attention to this and maybe drop by the show and see Brian and find out more. But in the meantime, let's tell you more about the experience here. So we're going to fly in by float plane into the lodge. It's located on Wellesley Lake. Is that the name of it?
Yep, that's correct. So when you get there, you're going to be fishing by noon. And if you come June and July, it doesn't get dark. And if you come after August 15th, you have a really good chance of seeing the northern lights, which for most of you is an incredible experience. And every time you see them, they're different. They're never the same twice.
Oh, it sounds absolutely fantastic. So let's focus a little bit on the fishing. I guess we'll start off with the lake trout. 50-pound Lakers, that's incredible. How are your guests catching them?
We fly fish, spin cast, or troll. My biggest so far is on a fly is 38 pounds on a dry cast fly. And it's all single barbless. Our best fly fishing is in June, but if you're spin casting and trolling, anytime's good.
Okay, and it sounds like you don't need a downrigger then.
No, we don't fish with downriggers here because our water's so cold, the fish don't go deep. 50 to 60 feet is really deep, and if we're fishing deep, we use lead core line.
All right, so let's turn our attention to northern pike. I had a chance to go up to the Northwest Territories once and fish for them. It's an absolute hoot, folks, and you said they get pretty big, 50 inches. Those are monster pike.
Yeah, and we fly fish for them as well, or spin cast, whatever you want to do. But fly fishing with poppers, bass poppers, or whatever you want to do, there's nothing better for sure.
Oh, I can only imagine the take. In terms of the spin gear, are people throwing 5 of diamonds and Johnson minnow spoons, that sort of thing?
Any color or any kind of spoon, whatever you want to use.
All right, and last but not least, this one's a little bit of a mystery for me. Lake whitefish. In the Northwest, you will find them in certain lakes, but I've never heard of anybody actually fishing for them successfully or catching them. How does it work in the Yukon Territory?
We fly fish for them, and they're lake whitefish. They get shaped like a sockeye salmon. They'll average 6 to 8 pounds and up to 15 pounds. And I've never been bone fishing, but the guys tell me that's as close as you're going to get to a bonefish.
And I guess that's my next question. I know how a lake trout fights. I know how a northern pike fights. But a lake whitefish, good fighters?
Extremely hard pullers, yep, for sure. You're going to need lots of backing on your line.
So you're going to fish all day for 7 days. You're going to want a place to lay your head. Tell us about the cabins and the lodge and the food.
Cabins are all duplex cabins, hot showers, flush toilets, every cabin. Every cabin's on the waterfront. Whenever you get up in the morning, we cook you breakfast. Lunch, you can either take it out in the boat with you or come back to lodge, and dinner's at 6. And if you want to go out after dinner, that's fine with us because all of our trips are unguided.
This sounds great. Let's give folks a website so they can find out more about staying at your lodge in the Yukon Territory.
KluwanieLodge.com.
That's KluwanieLodge.com, KluwanieLodge.com for the Kluwane Wilderness Lodge, which holds 6 world records, by the way. If you want big fish, come on up to the Yukon and get them. Thank you so much, Brian, for telling us about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Okay, thank you, and glad you stopped by.
All right, well, we've been telling you about Canadian fishing opportunities here on America Outdoors Radio this week, but let's talk about some hunting opportunities, too. If you are looking for the trophy bull elk of a lifetime, I've got the place for you. It's located in Saskatchewan. It's called Pine Mountain Outfitters. That's the operation that has a ranch here. With us here to tell us more about it is Joe Hardesty, one of the owners. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thank you.
So, Joe, you specialize in guaranteed trophy elk hunts. How big are these trophy bulls?
Our bulls range from 300 inches to well over 500 inches. Just depends on the customer and the client.
500. Is that what, like a 7x7 rack? What are we talking about there?
Oh, those bulls could be, most of the time, 8x8s, 9x9s. Yeah, it's just hard to tell on the points.
That is amazing. I'll be honest. Never even seen an elk with that big of a rack before. So here's the next question. How do you guarantee success on a trophy bull?
Our ranch is a high fence ranch, so all the bulls are in there. They're privately owned. Yeah, you won't leave without harvesting an elk, or if you do, you don't pay.
All right. And let's talk about the fair chase aspect of this. I mean, is this a small ranch, or is this, spread out, or are you going to have basically a fair chase hunt when you go about this?
Yeah, it's by no means just driving out in the field and having elk everywhere. Our areas, we've got it broke up into different areas. The ranch is a total of 5,000 acres.
Oh, okay.
So we've got it broke up into different hunting areas for different class bulls, and some of them are really thick areas, hard to find elk in.
Sure.
And some of them are a little easier to hunt.
And I'm guessing the price depends on the class of the elk. Higher class, higher price, is that correct?
Correct, yep.
All right. Is it only elk, or are there other trophies you can hunt on this ranch too?
No, we do elk, bison, buffalo, and white-tailed deer.
Bison. So tell me more about that operation. That's a rare animal indeed to bag.
Yeah, buffalo they're huge animals. We don't do a lot of them, maybe 10, 15 a year.
And as for the white-tailed deer, is this also broken down into, are these trophy deer, and they also broken down into different classes?
Yes, they are.
Nice. Yes. Okay. So I'm guessing most of the people that are going after the elk, or do people do a combo?
Yeah, some guys do. The main goal with us is the elk, and then, a bison or a deer is usually secondary.
Anything else you offer? I understand that on rare occasions there are opportunities for other animals there.
Yeah, like right now we've got some bighorn sheep available, and there's every once in a while I'll get a caribou or two, but not very often.
No, I understand that. So the next question is, what's included for the price on one of these hunts?
Everything is included. All the guidings, license, meals, lodging, everything is included in that price. The only thing that isn't is the meat processing and taxidermy.
Since you're located in Saskatchewan, do you recommend that processing and taxidermy take place there or back here in the States?
Most guys that live in the States, I actually haul it all back to Montana. We have a taxidermy shop here, and then we ship it, forward it onto their taxidermist, or have us mount it here and then get it to them. But not to do it in Canada because it just makes it that much harder to get the permits to get across the border.
All right. Bringing firearms into Canada, how do you go about doing that?
It's a simple firearm permit, and if whoever books a hunt, they can either get online or I send it right to them.
So, Joe, one other question. When we're talking about these big bulls and these big whitetail bucks, are people mainly just harvesting them as trophy animals for the mounts, or are they bringing the meat home too?
About 50-50. Some guys just want a big trophy bull, and other guys actually bring the meat home with them. And the meat that stays, we donate it to the needy up there.
Fantastic. Glad to hear that you're doing that, because as ethical hunters, none of us want to waste that meat. So the fact that you're donating it to people in need really makes me happy. Anything else people need to know about booking a trip with Pine Mountain Outfitters in Saskatchewan for a trophy elk or a trophy whitetail?
No, just give us a call and we'll hook you up.
All right. And that phone number, folks, you're going to find at their website. It's easy to find. It's just PineMountainOutfitters.com. That's PineMountainOutfitters.com. If you are looking for a trophy bull elk or a trophy whitetail deer, something that's going to be a true wall hanger that you're going to have in your home, this is probably the place to do it. Joe, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you.
KKM Precision is a world leader in custom national match grade pistol barrels. We specialize in advancing pistol barrel accuracy through superior manufacturing techniques, so every shooter knows they have the absolute best. With over 20 years of producing pistol barrels for competitive shooters, our barrels have won nearly every major competition worldwide, from the NRA national matches to the Bianchi Cup and even the IPSC and IDPA World Championships. KKM Precision makes only top-tier pistol barrels for shooters, gunsmiths, and manufacturers.
Low-limit saltwater salmon fishing got you down? Don't be sad. Head to the mighty Columbia River and get into the great steelhead and salmon fishing going on this year. Mike Salazar with Salt to Summit Guide Service is the man to go fish with. He's got over 25 years experience and knows how to catch a limit of fish. In fact, he's so confident in your success, he'll guarantee a fish. Book your Columbia River trip now at salttosummit.com. That's salt, then the number 2, then summit.com.
DM Bullard Leather has been in business for over 20 years. We use Herman oak leather to make concealed and open carry gun holsters, as well as knife sheaths, belts, cowboy gear, and wallets. All of our products are handmade, and we even offer exotic skins if you're looking for something really special. Check out our products in 16 different gun shops or go to our website at dmbullard.com. That's dmbullard.com for the best leather you will ever have.
Tillamook Bay is considered the greatest fishing experience on the west coast for fall Chinook salmon and winter steelhead, and Dungeness crab is plentiful. 5 major rivers connect with the ocean on the Tillamook coast. It's not unusual to snag a 40 to 50 pounder. Go out in a boat or stand on a riverbank or dock. Try fishing from a dory boat and experience the thrill of a beach launch and landing. Use spinners, sand shrimp, or salmon eggs to lure them. The fish will line up to grab your bait. Go to tillamookcoast.com/fishing to find guides and places to stay.
Clippership RV Motorhome Rentals offers you the opportunity to explore Alaska in the comfort of a motorhome. Unpack once and make your own trip off the beaten path. Clippership offers different sizes from 19 to 36-foot long motorhomes in Class A, B, and C models. Don't worry about bringing along extras with you. The utensils, linens, and unlimited mileage are all included in the price, and we guarantee you the best rates in Alaska. Find out more at ClippershipRV.com. That's ClippershipRV.com.
Offshore Northwest is Washington's most exciting albacore tuna fishing charter, offering one-day run-and-gun live bait tuna fishing trips from Westport, Washington. You'll leave at first light, run an hour and a half out to the tuna grounds, and catch these fish till your arms fall off. They'll have you back to port by 5 p.m. on their 30-foot Parker boat. The tuna are coming, and this summer is looking strong, so book now by calling Captain Carey at 253-380-9973. That's 253-380-9973. Welcome back to America Outdoors Radio. I'm John Cruz. This portion of the show is brought to you by California Sportsman Magazine. It is the monthly publication that is covering not just fishing and hunting, but the whole outdoor scene in the great state of California. Look for it at a newsstand near you. Heading from California up to Canada, we've been talking a lot about this great country, and we've got a news story out of there that's a little disturbing. From the Outdoor Hub, we learn about a social media maven known as the Inked Huntress. She's called that because of the tattoos she sports on her body and for being an avid trophy huntress who shares pictures of her trophies online. Jacine Chadresco of Victoria, BC, who appeared in the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation television show The Fifth Estates, The Hunter and the Hunted, said after being on that show, she receives 200 or more, get this, death threats a day. In her words, things so vile as people telling me they're going to kidnap my son and I, and they're going to skin him alive and hang him from a tree. Her Instagram account, where she dons the name Inked Huntress, displays all of her trophies. In the heat of all the criticism from the anti-hunters, Chadresco says the hate she receives only encourages her to hunt harder. As she wrote on her Instagram account, the more you hate, the more I kill. When I've successfully harvested an animal, I want to remember that. And you take a picture because it's a respect to the animal, to remember that animal and remember the whole hunt and the whole day and everything. As for me, I'd say stay strong, Jacine. Keep hunting. And as for you haters out there, why don't you take a break from spewing anonymous hatred and go make yourself a nice kale salad or something. In Washington State, gun writer Dave Workman reports a victory for gun rights advocates battling a bill introduced by Attorney General Bob Ferguson that would have outlawed the possession of modern sporting rifles capable of holding magazines with more than 10 rounds. House Bill 1387 was opposed by major gun rights groups, including the National Rifle Association and the Citizens Committee for the Right to Keep and Bear Arms. They energized grassroots activists who flooded Washington's Capitol with telephone calls and emails. Hundreds of gun owners turned out for a public hearing during which representatives from the NRA, Washington Arms Collectors, and other groups testified against the measure. The bill never came up for a vote in committee, meaning the votes were not there to pass it out of that body, and that bill is essentially dead for this legislative session. This represents a defeat for the gun prohibition lobby, which pushed the measure hard, and for anti-gun State Attorney General Bob Ferguson, who had proposed an outright ban on what he mistakenly refers to as assault weapons last year. You've heard of Delta Waterfowl before, haven't you? Well, they've got a new chairman of the board. The well-known conservation organization with deep roots in the Midwest and Southeast has promoted William Yandell III from Memphis, Tennessee to that position. Yandell is a lifelong waterfowl hunter and businessman who has served on the Delta Waterfowl board since 2012. When asked about what he hopes to accomplish in his new position, Yandell replied, "Our goals for Delta include increasing membership, revenues, and operational capacity." And finally, we've got a good news, bad news fishing report for our listeners in Northern California and Southern Oregon, courtesy of the NorCal Fishing News website. The bad news first. Kenny Priest reports record low returns for last fall's Klamath River king salmon. According to Priest, with 4 years of drought and less than ideal ocean and river conditions, it's no surprise that the number of returning fall Chinook to the Klamath Basin in 2016 was the lowest on record since 1978. According to the California Department of Fish and Wildlife, only 15,000 800 adults escaped to the natural spawning area, well below the 40,700 adults needed for the conservation objective. On the bright side, the herring fishing is good off the docks at Crescent City. Call it a consolation prize, if you will, but if you're looking for bait or maybe want to pickle some herring, you may want to make the trip. Larry Ellis reports fishermen of all ages lined up elbow to elbow at Citizens Dock in Crescent City Harbor last week, jigging for Pacific herring that make their annual spawning migration into the harbor every year. Full 5-gallon buckets of herring, averaging between 8 and 10 inches, were the rule, and many large ice chests were filled to capacity as well. The herring, which normally can be caught from the jetties lining the boat launch facility, were caught in the nook that lines Citizens Dock and the section that meets the dock at a 90-degree angle. Sea lions had corralled the bait fish into this area, making it easy pickings for anglers who were jigging sabiki rigs. Speaking of fishing rigs, we've got some killer fishing lures to tell you about. Next up on America Outdoors Radio, it's time to talk fishing, and we're going to do so with spring Chinook salmon in mind and kokanee as well. With us here to tell us more about a great product line for both species of fish is Greg Wilson with Brad's Killer Fishing Gear out of Southwest Washington. Greg, welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So, Greg, Brad's Killer Fishing Gear has made quite a name for itself in the Northwest, especially when it comes to Chinook salmon fishing. Why don't you tell our listeners about your most popular lure that you put out there?
Well, I think the most popular lure that we have out there amongst all that we have is probably the Super Bait Cut Plugs. That product, back in 2009, it was introduced in Las Vegas to 650 dealers, and at that time they said that it was the most innovative product that they've seen introduced in 20 years, which in itself, it's so unique because it has a split cavity design and it looks like a wounded bait fish in the water. You're able to fill the cavity with your favorite scent, whatever it is. We recommend starting off with tuna fish in oil, and you just get it out there. And what happens, the perforations on the outside shell of the bait has little holes there that allows for this scent and the particles to break up in the water, therefore creating this very large scent trail.
And Greg, I've got to imagine this has got to be a lot more effective than wrapping an anchovy or a sardine around a lure or, having a cut plug herring. In terms of just the action of the lure, it's got to work a lot better. And like you said, that scent trail's got to be fantastic.
Yes, and look, we have some of the strongest colors in the entire industry. The paint jobs that we have on our baits surpass anything that's out there, including, having the action and then have the ability to creating a scent trail is everything that you need that's out there. One of the main things about using a cut plug is learning how to rig it. And in our catalog and on our website, we have tech sheet. It isn't, does it catch fish? It's how do you rig it is the question that's asked by consumers all over the marketplace.
Well, I'll tell you what, folks, these cut plugs from Brad's Killer Fishing Gear, some of the most popular lures you're going to find on the Columbia River for Chinook salmon anglers. But we need to talk about something else because you've got a brand new cut plug series coming out for kokanee salmon for the lake fishermen.
Yes, that's probably the most exciting thing. We've been in the works on this for probably 4 years now, anticipating. And here's the unique thing. It's the kokanee cut plug. It has all the attributes of the full-size Super Bait cut plug, but now in a 2.25 size version. It will be hitting the shelves in all the stores towards the end of March, and it'll come out in 7 fisherman-approved colors. One of the key things out there that I would say is that those folks using, that are used to fishing for kokanee, using a sling blade, and then the other would be a small rotating flasher like ProTroll make that has the fin, because what it does is it creates a slowdown and a thump, a trigger in the bait as it works in the water. And then, of course, many people will grind up and fill it with the shoe peg corn. In fact, when we first came out with our first samples last year, 2016, some of our pro staff went out and won first and second place in the tournaments using this exact product.
Oh, wow. So let's go through the exact names of these products again, because I know you're in a lot of sporting goods stores. Again, the kokanee cut plugs are coming out in March, and the regular cut plugs you have?
Brad's Super Bait Cut Plugs. You have the Super Bait Cut Plug, you have the Mini Cut Plug, and now we have the kokanee cut plug.
All right, so it's Brad's Super Bait Cut Plug, Brad's mini bait cut plug, and Brad's kokanee cut plugs. Look for them at sporting goods stores near you. They're in all sorts of sporting goods, not just in the Northwest, but in a lot of other places as well. You can find out more by going to their website, which is...
It's bsfishtails.com, and then our Facebook is Brad's Killer Fishing Gear. And probably the easiest way to hit them all is if you just Google search Brad's Killer Fishing Gear, it's going to link you into all the different social media and our website.
All right, we'll make it easy then. Just Google Brad's Killer Fishing Gear. That's Brad's Killer Fishing Gear for some killing fishing gear that's going to catch both Chinook salmon and kokanee too. Greg, thanks for telling us all about this on America Outdoors Radio.
Thank you very much.
We hope you enjoyed this week's broadcast. If you get a chance, go to our website at AmericaOutdoorsRadio.com. You'll find a podcast from last week's show and a preview of what's coming up next week. We're also on Facebook. Just look for America Outdoors Radio. And you can catch us on the web, too, at WRVO Radio. It's an internet station dedicated to outdoors programming 7 days a week. That website, RenoViolaOutdoors.com. As we slowly inch our way out of winter and move towards spring, I hope you're getting the itch to get out there, whether it be going to the sportsman shows we talked about earlier in the show, or to start doing some other things outside. In the meantime, I hope God blesses you in the week ahead, and remember, it's your country and your outdoors.
It's time for another local shot of the outdoors. It's the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, and you'll only hear it here on Fox Sports 1380 KRKO.
Next on the Pacific Northwest edition of America Outdoors Radio, we're talking to Chad Calder. He is the owner of Coastwide Sports Fishing, operating out of Port Hardy, BC. It's at the north end of Vancouver Island. Chad, great to have you on the show.
Oh, it's great to be here, John.
So, Chad, one thing I think people need to know about fishing with you is they're not just going fishing for salmon. On any given day, they're going fishing for 3-4 different species and taking home 3-4 different species.
That's correct, John. So what's kind of unique to us, and not so much with other outfitters maybe, is we actually fish for all your species of fish every single day. So we normally start our mornings with a bit of salmon fishing, and then we transition that into going to get your halibut, and then after that we roll over and we switch up our gear a bit, and we go for all our lingcod and all our rockfish, red snapper, and et cetera, So your day is filled with, not just a singular salmon fishery or a singular halibut fishery. It's everything every single day, 3 and 4 days over.
And folks, you're probably going to get into everything every single day. Trust me, this is a great trip. Took advantage of it last year. If you want to find out more, go to the website, coastwidesportsfishing.com. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for all-inclusive saltwater fishing vacations out of Port Hardy, BC. Thanks, Chad.
Thank you very much.
Quality and affordable fishing adventure is waiting for you off Vancouver Island with Chad's Coastwide Sports Fishing. Located in Port Hardy, British Columbia, you can drive or fly to your all-inclusive guided fishing vacation. Whether you're after big salmon, heart-fighting halibut, or a cooler full of red snapper and lingcod, you can catch it all here. Better yet, your lodging, meals, and fish processing are all taken care of. Want one more reason to go? The price. With the Canadian dollar exchange rate where it is right now, your U.S. dollar goes further. Space is limited, so go to coastwidesportsfishing.com to book your trip. That's coastwidesportsfishing.com for an incredible BC fishing adventure.
Did you check out this month's edition of Northwest Sportsman Magazine? It's the best publication out there that covers the fishing and hunting scene. Northwest Sportsman Magazine has got great content you need to have to be successful. Pick up a copy at a newsstand near you.
Marine Area 5 near CQ is open for a special Chinook salmon fishery from February 16th to April 30th, and Excel Fishing Charters is ready to take you out for a great day on the water. One of the great things about this fishery is the fact that you get to take home not 1, but 2 blackmouth a day, and Captain Tom Burlingame has the knowledge and experience to help you get that done. Find out more about fishing with Excel Fishing Charters at excelfishingcharters.com. Book your trip now.